In this video, we will learn the impact of price ceilings on consumer surplus, producer surplus, and how to calculate the dead weight loss. Question is, for a particular market, demand and supply functions are being given us as P is equal to 150 minus 30Q. This is our demand function. P is equal to 30 plus QS, that means quantity supplied. This is supply function. We need to calculate the equilibrium price and quantity first, and also if government imposes a price ceiling at $40, we need to calculate the new consumer surplus, producer surplus, and calculate the dead weight loss. Okay. So this is our demand function. This is our supply function. First thing is we draw these demand and supply functions on the graph. Okay. So we are being given, actually it is 3Q here. Okay. So P is equal to 150 minus 3Q. This is our demand function. If we want to trace it on the graph, simple thing, what we do first, we set Q is equal to 0. When Q is equal to 0, this term is equal to 0. That means P will be equal to 150. So P intercept will be 150. Okay, we have price on this side, we have quantity on this side. Similarly, when we set P is equal to 0 in this equation, that means 150 minus 3Q is equal to 0. That gives us 3Q will be equal to 150, or Q is equal to, dividing both sides by 3, we will get, 3 ones are 3 5s are, so 50. So this is, so let us draw this like this. Let us say here it is 50. This is our demand function. Similarly, we draw the supply function. So P is equal to 30 plus QS. Here we only need one intercept. So when Q is equal to 0, price will be equal to 30. Okay, so this is our price intercept. Let us say it is here, and this supply function is upward sloping because the coefficient of Q is here positive. So let us denote it by like this. This is our supply function, this is our demand function. Now we know that equilibrium occurs where, so the first part is, we know equilibrium occurs when demand is equal to supply. Okay, so we equate these two equations. So demand function is 150 minus 3Q. We equate it with this equation 30 plus QS. So transposing this here, so we will get 150 minus 30, it comes out to be 120. Transposing this, it will get added. We get 3Q plus Q is 4Q. 4Q, that means dividing both sides by 4, Q will be equal to 30. Okay, so quantity demanded, and let's write it here, is equal to 30. Equilibrium quantity without the price ceiling we are calculating first. Similarly, to calculate the equilibrium price, simply plug Q is equal to 30 into demand or supply function. So let's put it into the supply function. That means P will be equal to 30 plus the equilibrium price, that is 30, which comes out to be 60. So equilibrium price will be equal to 60. Okay, so we calculated this, and let me rub this out. I don't have the space. Okay, so I will write it in short. So at equilibrium we know demand is equal to supply. Okay, that means we have equated 150 minus 3Q with 30 plus Q. When we solve this, we get P is equal to 60, Q is equal to 30. Okay, so this is the initial equilibrium. Now since this is the initial equilibrium, here we have the intercept of supply function 30. I forgot to remember here. Okay, we need to calculate the producer surplus, consumer surplus first. Okay, so what will be the consumer surplus first? Consumer surplus is simply the difference between the price that the consumer is willing to pay minus the price he is actually paying. So equilibrium price is 60. Consumers are prepared to pay more than 60. Some will pay 70, 80, up to 150. So consumer surplus is simply the area which is above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. That means this upper triangle is actually consumer surplus. Okay, so its area is simply 1/2 of what is the base of this consumer surplus. So this is here 30, so I will write here 30 into, and what is the height? 150 minus 60. 150 minus 60, so we have 150 minus 60, so this is 90. Okay, let's write it 90. When we calculate it, it will come out to be, so this is 2 ones are 2 15s are, so 15 into 90, when we calculate it will come out to be 1350. So initially our consumer surplus is 1350. Similarly we can calculate the producer surplus. So producer surplus initially is, we are not imposing the price ceiling till now. We are calculating the equilibrium price quantity and consumer surplus and producer surplus before the imposition of price ceiling. Okay, so producer surplus is simply the price that the sellers are willing to sell their goods at, and the price that actually is in the market. So some sellers will be you know willing to sell their product for 30, 40 or 50 dollars. Since the equilibrium price is 60, so the producer surplus is simply the area which is below the equilibrium price and above the supply curve. Okay, so the area of the this triangle denotes the producer surplus, and its area is 1 upon 2. Again, the base of this triangle is 30 into, and height is 60 minus 30, which is again 30. So this is 30 into 30 is 900, divided by 2 is 450. Okay, initially we don't have any dead weight loss. Dead weight loss occurs when the market is not producing efficiently. Okay, since demand and supply functions are intersecting with each other, we don't have any dead weight loss. Now the question comes, when the government imposes a price ceiling of $40. Okay, so let's write, when the government imposes a price ceiling of $40, what happens? By price ceiling, what we mean, price ceiling is a price instituted by a government to regulate how high a product should be priced in certain market. For a price ceiling to be effective, it must be below the equilibrium price. Let me repeat it again. Price ceiling is the price instituted by the government to regulate how high a product should be priced in the certain market, and if it is to be effective, it must be below the equilibrium price. Obviously, equilibrium price is 60, price ceiling is 40, so it is the effective price ceiling. Let us say this denotes the price ceiling, okay, which is 40. With this price ceiling of 40, we need to calculate the new equilibrium price and quantity. Rather, we also need to calculate new consumer surplus, producer surplus, and dead weight loss. Okay, when price ceiling is 40, okay, here you can see on the graph, when price ceiling is 40, how much the suppliers are willing to supply. You can see when it intersects the supply function. So at this point, we need to calculate the quantity supplied by suppliers when the price ceiling is 40. Okay, what we do, since this is our supply function, we set P is equal to 40 in this supply function to find out the quantity supplied by the suppliers. Okay, so P is equal to 30 in place of P. So when let me write it here, P is equal to 30 plus Q. This is our supply function. Since price ceiling is 40, so at $40 we need to calculate the quantity that will be supplied. That means Q will be equal to 40 minus 30, which is equal to 10. That means only 10 units will be supplied by the suppliers. Okay, what about the demand by the consumers? Here you can see at a price of 40, quantity demanded by the consumers will be equal to, we simply set P is equal to 40 into the demand function. So we can see 40 is equal to 150 minus 3Q, or 3Q is equal to 150 minus 40, which is 110, or Q will be equal to 110 but 3. It will come out to be, you know, 36.67. So this is 36.67. Okay, at a price ceiling of 40, quantity demanded by the consumers will be 36.67, but suppliers are only supplying 10 units. Okay, so we don't have to do anything with this. This is the demand at a price of 40, but producers are only supplying $10, 10 units. So we need to calculate the price, okay, that the consumers are willing to pay when quantity supplied is only 10. So we need to find out this point. Okay, at a quantity of 10 units, how much price will be. Okay, so when Q is equal to 10, we plug Q is equal to 10 into the demand function to calculate the corresponding demand when quantity supplied is 10. Okay, so P will be equal to, so this is the supply, new supply, let me write it here, quantity supplied, and we need to find out the new quantity demanded. New quantity demanded. So new quantity demanded is simply quantity supplied is 10, simply plug it into the demand function. So we have P is equal to 150 minus 3 into 10 is 30. So actually we need to find out the new price. New price for consumers. So new price will be equal to 150 minus 90. Sorry, we have 3 into 10 since only 10 units are being supplied. So 3 tens are 30. 150 minus 30, it comes out to be 120. Okay, when only 10 units are supplied, corresponding quantity demanded is, corresponding price will be equal to 120. Okay, so this thing we don't need here. Remember what we have done till now. First, we calculated the initial equilibrium that occurred at this point when demand and supply functions were intersecting with each other. We got equilibrium price of 60 and equilibrium quantity of 30. Then price ceiling was imposed. Since it has to be, effective or binding, it must be below the equilibrium price. It is 40, equilibrium price is 60, so obviously we need to draw it below the equilibrium price. Okay, when price ceiling is 40, we need to calculate the quantity supplied by the producers. Okay, so at a price of 40, quantity supplied by the producers will be equal to 10. Simply we plug P is equal to 40 into the supply function to find out the corresponding quantity supplied. At this quantity supplied, at this point we actually need to calculate the price. Okay, so to calculate the price that will be prevailing, we simply plug Q is equal to 10 into this demand function, in this demand function, because we need to find out this point on the demand function. Simply plug quantity supplied units into the demand function to find out the new price, and we got the new price as 120. Now we need to calculate the new producer surplus, consumer surplus. Okay, so initially our consumer surplus was, can I show it here? I don't see. Initially our consumer surplus was this triangle, and let me draw it with another color to make it more useful. So initially our consumer surplus was this. Okay, and this was our producer surplus. Okay, now what has happened when price ceiling was imposed? You can see the producer surplus has reduced, so this will be our producer surplus. The price ceiling, the area which is below the price ceiling and above the supply function. So our new producer surplus will be equal to area of this very triangle. Okay, and producer surplus is equal to 1/2 of what is base? Base is 10 this time. 10 into 40 minus 30 is 10. Okay, so am I doing it correctly? Yes, this is 10 into 10, which is 100 divided by 2, which is 50. So we got producer surplus as 50. What about the consumer surplus? Okay, now initially consumer surplus was this very triangle. Now the consumer surplus will be equal to the area of this very triangle, rectangle, plus the area of this very triangle. Okay, so consumer surplus will be equal to area of this very triangle. So the area of the this triangle is 150 minus 120, which comes out to be 30. 30 into 10 plus the area of this very rectangle. So the length and breadth, length will be 120 minus 40, which is 80. 80 into 10. When we solve this, it will come out to be 2 ones are 2, 15s are. So this is 150 plus 800, which comes out to be 950. So our consumer surplus will be 950. Now we need to calculate the dead weight loss. Dead weight loss. So what is dead weight loss? Dead weight loss is simply the point, or rather dead weight loss is the economic inefficiency when the society or market is not producing at optimal level. So optimal level was this, producing 30 units. Since it is only producing 10 units, so the dead weight loss will be equal to the area of this very triangle. Okay, the area of this very triangle. So dead weight loss is equal to 1 upon 2. Area of this triangle is 120 minus 40, which comes out to be 80 into the base of this triangle, that is 30 minus 10, which is 20. So this is A2s are 1600 divided by 2, which I guess it is equal to 800. Okay, let me repeat it here. To calculate the dead weight loss, by dead weight loss we mean when the economy is not producing at the socially optimal level. Socially optimal level would have been this point. Okay, socially optimal level. Okay, since we are deviating it from, we are not producing at this point, and at this point we are producing at this point. That means we are producing only 10 units, and also these 10 units are being, the price ceiling is 40 and the market price is 120. So the area of this very triangle denotes the dead weight loss. I hope I make myself clear in this video. Thank you.